All right, so today I want to talk about a company called Green Thumb Industries. They are in the cannabis space and they are what's called a multi state operator or MSO. This is a company I've been holding for a few years now, and I am super, super excited about it. They just reported Q2 earnings, incredible earnings report, really good guidance. I'm a big, big fan of the CEO, a guy named Ben Kovler. I'm going to put some links in the description of Ben Kovler on Yahoo Finance and Fast Money, and you can check him out for yourself. I think this guy's the real deal. I think that he is a really, really savvy capital allocator, and we're going to get into that in the numbers. I want to start off with the numbers first, and then get into just kind of more general points as to why I'm so excited about this company. So right now, I kind of have the last 2 years worth of financials, Q1 of 2019 through their most latest earnings report. And as you can see here, the quarterly growth it's all over the place, meaning that, some quarters are bigger than others. It's possible that there's a little bit of seasonality in a business like this, but what you really want to call out here is that the year 2020 was a transformational year for this company. They basically doubled their revenues from 216 million in 2019 to 557 million. That's 157% growth. That is insane. It's unheard of. This year, they've reported earnings. We're halfway through the year. They grew 10% in Q1, 14%, and this is quarter over quarter growth, not year over year, just FYI. And the analyst consensus is that they will do about 875 million, representing just short of 60% growth. So one thing I want to call out right off the bat is this is not a situation where it's, hey, they grew 157% last year, now they're only going to grow 60%. I mean, companies don't grow 200% a year after year. And if they do, it's most likely the law of small numbers, going from 2 to 4, 4 to 8, stuff like that. If you're going from 557 to 875 and a run rate of 1 billion, that is absolutely tremendous growth. All the while, what's even better is that they're actually expanding their margins. And this is what I mean that Kovler is such a savvy capital allocator. Just 2 years ago, their gross margins were 47%. Now they're in the mid 50s. And it's probably going to be even higher than that by year end. I mean, 2019, the overall blended margin for the year was 52. Then they increased it to 55. I haven't modeled out, what the margin profile is going to be, but it's pretty amazing. They're opening more stores, therefore generating more revenue from these stores, and expanding their margins over time. And you can see, just 2 years ago, their EBITDA was barely positive at 5 million. Now they're at 66 million EBITDA, which, as we know, is kind of a proxy for cash flow. The revenue per store is increasing, margin per store is increasing, obviously, because they're expanding their margins, as I said. I think there's a lot of positive catalysts for this company. I bought in when it was about $10 a share. Now it's in the mid 30s. I have a little over 1,000 shares. So I've tripled my money. Definitely plan on holding for the long term. But here's a couple of other things that have me even more excited. So this guy, Owen Bennett, he is an equity research analyst at Jefferies. Jefferies is a very reputable investment bank, and he initiated coverage on 7 companies in the cannabis space, and they're listed right here. Green Thumb was one of these companies, as was Cresco Labs, which I'm also a shareholder of, and I'm going to do a separate video on Cresco. But right now we're talking about Green Thumb, and basically for all of them, he says over the next year he expects their share price to double. And here's kind of his 1 year projections. Right now we can see, going over to Yahoo Finance, that Green Thumb is trading at about $30 a share. Right here, he's saying that his estimate is that it's going to be around $70, and then Cresco 36. So this is 100% upside, at least in his opinion, and he's quoting a generational wealth opportunity. This is really exciting. Now, what's even more amazing is this graph down here. These are years 2018, 2019, going over to for the next decade, 2030. Check this out. He's saying that he thinks the U.S. cannabis market is going to grow from about $17 billion in 2020 to $64 billion by 2030. And you can see that kind of right here, 2030, and it's a little bit above 60 billion right here. In the interview that I'm going to put in the description, Ben Kovler, the CEO, he actually said 50 billion over the next decade. So whether it's 50 or 60, these analysts and CEOs, they have different models that they're running. The point is it's going to grow tens of billions of dollars in a relatively short time frame. This can lead, and this is why he's saying generational wealth, right? There's a couple things that inevitably will happen as this market gets bigger and bigger and bigger. More states are going to legalize cannabis for medical or recreational use. Liberalization of current laws restricting cannabis that could usher in a significant amount of institutional investment and M&A opportunities to help consolidate an already fragmented industry. So here's two really important points. Right now, because of the way that the laws are set up for U.S. institutional investors like huge banks, not a lot of banks cover these companies, and very few of them are making major investments, if any investment, in companies like Cresco and Green Thumb. And so what he's saying here is as the regulations become more lax, because this industry is inevitably going to get bigger, more and more banks are going to start making major investments in these companies. And that will be a huge growth catalyst or tailwind for these companies to invest in themselves and grow over the next decade. Inevitably, there's going to be some companies that benefit more than others, and therefore they'll be able to do things like M&A and acquire some of their smaller competitors and do like tuck-ins or roll-ups, and kind of consolidate the industry. So basically, what he's saying is by 2026, so over the next 5 years, he thinks there's going to be legislative reform, but that it could also very much come sooner than that, and basically that will allow institutional participation in the sector. So that's like one huge thing that I wanted to point out here, is that this company Green Thumb has been able to grow and basically double. And they're going to be on a run rate of $1 billion revenue by the end of the year, while expanding their margins with basically no help from institutional investors. So you can imagine, once these banks start participating and actually investing in these companies, how much capital is going to be flowing their way and what they're going to be able to do, as a business. Like I said, I'm going to cover Cresco in another video, because that's another company that I hold roughly $10 a share, a little over 1,000 shares. So actually for both Cresco and Green Thumb, I have over 1,000 shares at roughly $10 a share for each of them. So anyway, let me know what you think. Let me know what you think of this industry overall. Do you think it's too risky? Do you want to stay away from it? What companies do you look at in this industry? Do you like the MSOs, or do you like, obviously there's different types of companies underneath the cannabis umbrella, but I think for me, the only two companies that I hold are Cresco and Green Thumb, which are both happen to be multi-state operators or MSOs. But yeah, drop some comments and let me know what you think about this company, what you think about the industry, what you think the risks are. Are you excited about it? And anyway, check out the interviews in the description as well with Ben Kovler. I think this guy's the real deal. All right, thanks.